All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the Nottingham Zoning Board. I'd like to open public hearing for case, oh, actually, we have some business to attend to before I open the public hearing. And I would like to entertain a motion to have our new alternate.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I make a motion that we appoint Kathy Bowes as an alternate to the Nottingham Zoning Board of Adjustment.
Second.
All in favor? All right, so if you would be
I have to give her a
willing to swear her in.
Hi Kathy, just like when you worked elections. It's a little different though. Would you right hand and repeat after me? I, Kathy Bowes.
I, Kathy Bowes,
Solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I
To
will
what?
faithfully
Cedar,
and
yeah.
impartially discharge
that I will faithfully and impartially discharge
and perform
and perform
all the duties incumbent
all the duties
as a member of
Thank
You? Something you can read.
you. Yeah, a little bigger. Thanks.
Thank you.
agreeable to the rules and regulations of the Constitution
agreeable to the rules and regulations of the Constitution
and laws of the state of New Hampshire.
and laws of the state of New Hampshire. So help me God.
Okay, would you sign this right here? Goes to the town.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. So I'd like to seat Kathy Bowes for Peter White as an alternate, and I'd like to seat Kevin Bassett for Terry Bonzer as an alternate. All right, and now we can get down to business. I'd like to open public hearing on case 16009 VASE, applications from Gary M. Potvin requesting a variance from Article 3, Section B2 of the zoning ordinance to permit an addition with reduced wetland setbacks, and a special exception from Article 2, Section C2 of the zoning ordinance to permit a new septic system to be located within approximately 10 feet from the front property lot line. The proposed use of the property is to build an addition onto the current family residence. The property is identified as tax map 70, lot 32, located at 6 Tuckaway Shores Road, Nottingham, New Hampshire. All right, so the way the operations proceed is the applicant and their representation approach and present their case, and then we hear from others supporting the case and those opposed to the case. All questions are directed through myself, chair of the board, Mike Russo. And also, if we could, this is a legal proceeding, so if people could keep side chatter to 0 so that our secretary can keep good minutes, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is John Arnold. I'm an attorney at Hinkley Allen in Concord. I represent the Potvins. This is Gary Potvin. His family is here tonight, as well as Roscoe Blaisdell, the surveyor, and Jason Lacombe, the architect. So thanks for having us in tonight. I think the first thing to talk about tonight is the variance, if that's agreeable to you. Just to give you a brief overview, as you mentioned, the Potvins are looking to put an addition on their house, which will have, this is the existing house essentially over here, this is the addition over here, with living space above a garage. And I just want to flip to the survey, which I think you have a full-size copy of it right in front of you, but I just want to be able to point out a couple things here.
There's a big one.
Yeah, so the ones in front of you are probably easier to follow along with, but just to get you oriented, this is the lake over here, up on the top edge of the property. Down towards the bottom of the property is Tuckaway Shores Road. It comes down in dead ends, essentially, right at the end of the property right here. You can see on the survey where the existing home is, and then also where the proposed garage is, just off to the left of that. And the reason we're here for variance tonight is because the proposed garage comes within about 13.5 feet of the edge of the hydric B soils. You can see that on your survey with the dotted blue line. The setback distance is shown there is 13.46 feet. And so that's really why we're here tonight. I want Gary to just speak briefly about what he wants to do with the property and the project. Roscoe will speak to you a little bit about the wetlands issues, and then I'll chime in briefly at the end to run through the variance criteria and answer any of those type of questions you guys may have.
Mr. Chairman and Board, thank you for coming. First of all, our family would like to thank you just for what you do for our community and for taking the time to be here tonight away from your family. So we do appreciate you being here for us. As John said, this is my amazing wife Angela in the back, who makes me a better person than I ever could be without her. This is our 6-year-old daughter, Sonoma. She's in kindergarten at the Mount Zion School, Christian school in Manchester. It's a school that runs from pre-K through senior high school, so she'll remain in that school as long as we possibly can. We also have a 19-year-old daughter who couldn't be here this evening, but she's working and trying to figure out what to do with her life, as some do at that age, and she took a year off from school. So that's kind of just a little bit about us. You'll see in the application, we have owned this property for almost, I guess it's 9 years now, so coming up on 10 years. I've had access to the property and the home for probably another 15 beyond that through family ownership prior to my purchasing it. So I do have a long history up there in the property, and I know what it's been through. When I bought it in 2007, we basically, it hadn't been used in probably 10 to 12 years when I purchased it. So we stripped and gutted everything right down to the studs. We upgraded, it's all new electrical, all new plumbing, new roof, new everything. And I think as Mr. Mokus, one of our abutters, will probably attest to, it had become quite an eyesore previously, and so I think they were happy to see the transformation. At that time, we were using it just as a seasonal home, although it's always been zoned or allowed to be full year use. It has always been heated and everything else. So at that time, we had a home in Goffstown as well, and we maintained 2 homes for a period of time. And we decided that that was just a little bit too much, more than we needed, certainly, not knowing whether our 19-year-old would be off to college and, didn't need that much space. So we sold the house last December and made the choice to move to the lake full-time. We went from about 3,000 square feet down to about 900, which has posed several challenges in and of itself, and we're still trying to expunge things that we no longer need by donating them wherever we can. And we're getting to that point now. But really the purpose of what you've seen here is just to have a little bit more living space for our family. A little bit of shock going from 3,000 to 900 square feet. And the main house, so there's a small kind of loft upstairs with ceilings. If you're an inch taller than me, you will hit your head on the ceiling. All that work was done in accordance, building inspector permits, again, all done by professional contractors and things. I'm handy, but I would never be able to do anything that looks like this, so we like to hire the professionals that know what they're doing to help us. It's not intended to be a DIY project that will go horribly wrong somewhere along the way. So our initial thing was really, as you enter the house today, this isn't here, there's kind of a little porch over here. You walk up a flight of stairs, you enter into the kitchen of the home, and then in the back is kind of the dining room, and then the 2 bedrooms we put upstairs, small bathroom, and that's it. So living there full-time, we realized a couple of things, as you can imagine, with a house full of ladies. 1 bathroom was not enough. I'd like to have another one. So we've decided in here, originally it was, could we add a 2nd bathroom, move the laundry room upstairs so we're not up and down 2 flights of stairs, standard kind of, normal living stuff. And then to have the extra space up here for a great room or something, which is we had a nice great room in Goffstown, and we're kind of missing that now. And rather than just make that down on the ground, we said, we might as well go up and put the cars, the garage underneath it. Currently there's outdoor parking only underneath the trees and that. We are a 3-car family, obviously, so we'll probably remain that way. The little ones out of the house and gone, but certainly that's what we'd like to do with it, and that's why we're here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Roscoe, do you want to speak to this?
So here, I guess.
If you'd like to sit, you can sit here.
No, it's okay.
I'm a wetland scientist, a land surveyor, and septic designer. I wore all three hats to do this. The wetland we're concerned about is the upper left-hand corner, poorly drained wetland. If you were to look at it, you'd say, huh, it's not wet, but we go by colors of the soil and all that. So a few months out of the year, that does get saturated.
Roscoe, you didn't announce your name.
Oh.
Please do that for the people who
Roscoe
don't know you.
Blaisdell,
Thank you.
yes, from Raymond. So I did my survey, located all the wetlands, the buildings, and their proposed addition is going to be about 13 feet from the wet. If they do the normal precautions like you're supposed to do, silt fence and stuff like that, there won't be any water, any runoff getting into the wetland. And we're way away from the lake. We're not anywhere near it.
Can you give a dimension?
To the lake
Yes, sir.
scale.
I'd say roughly on, 100.
150. That's the septic's 150, the addition.
150 or
150.
Okay.
Oh, maybe 120 feet, the closest part of it where it attaches the other building. So it's plenty far away. The state doesn't like buildings within 50 feet, and so we're way beyond that. So part of this project, we'll need state subdivision, state septic approval and shoreline, because we're doing stuff within 250 feet of the lake. So if we get our variance and all that, the next step would be to finish up that, have the building inspector look at it, and go to the two different state agencies. So, I don't know, you want to talk about the septic later, or can I just add it, talk about it now? You want,
Up to the
Yeah.
board, would you like to hear about
Well,
this?
I mean, you had said you wanted to attack the
just
variance
totally-
first. Probably best to keep it separate.
okay, do that. Yeah. So, basically, that's about it. It's just, it's not standing water 14 feet from the building. It's, basically, it's big hemlock trees. There's no vegetation under it. There's not like lady slippers or whatever. It's just pine needles and stuff like that.
Can I ask a question? I don't see the elevation on this map from here.
It's
the
real
lake.
light, yeah.
So what might be the elevation from this area to the lake?
6, 8, 10. About 14 feet.
14 feet.
Yep.
So this is a wetland that's approximately 14 feet above the normal lake level.
Yes, what it does, it just kind
I
of
wanted you to
buckets
say that,
Oh, yes, yeah, it's not,
okay?
if the dam gets plugged, it doesn't back right up to here. It's a totally
Yep.
different system.
The lake is down 18 inches this year, and I've seen it 18 inches above normal level, and I've seen it 24 inches above this level, right? So I just wanted to, I didn't see it here.
Yep.
I need you to say that.
It's really faint.
This
Yep.
is a wetland, approximately 14 feet above the normal, well,
Yep,
let's say
mean high
normal,
water, yep.
normal June 21st level, right?
Yes.
Yeah, good.
Could you
Thank you.
show us on the map where he's referring to? Because he pointed to an area with you.
Okay, very lately, I have contour lines. So this is the wetland, there's the lake, and I have a 2-foot interval of contours, so, you know, pretty much, it's a real gradual, I mean, there's no ups and downs, it's just a gradual.
There's no chance that the lake would ever encroach on this wetland. in any high water,
Well,
normal
Need
100
Noah's
year.
Ark, I guess.
Yeah, so,
All the houses would be
yeah,
on by that.
I've only seen it 24 inches high,
Yes.
because I walked down my steps and I walked in the water, so I haven't seen that in my many years on the lake, so. Just wanted to make sure, because it wasn't clear from here, thank you.
Yes.
So something I'd just like to point out, when you guys are looking at the plan in front of you is that, if you take a look at where the lake is, and then on your plan, you can see there's a dotted line that goes all the way around just inside the perimeter of the lot that shows the lot line setbacks. And so it's, you know, the lot itself is a relatively small lot, it's about 1/3 of an acre, and once you look to see where these lot line setbacks are, you realize that there's a very small buildable envelope on the property where you could expand or do an addition or build anything. And when you take into account the fact that these hydric pea soils come over and touch the corner of the property and impose a further 50-foot setback from those, you're left with basically almost no buildable area left on the lot where you could do an addition.
The septic has to go here, so we can't put the addition here. We're putting the septic furthest from the well.
And so it's been designed, you know, very carefully to try and minimize impacts on abutters, to try and minimize impact on the lake, to try and minimize impact on the wetlands. And the location and the design of the addition, as we've shown it on the plans here, is the solution that everybody came up with that was thought to impose the least impacts on any of those important categories. The variance application that I submitted went through in great detail, basically all of the criteria, the 5 statutory criteria for the variance. I don't want to spend all the time repeating all of that. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have, but I just wanted to highlight a few points that I think are fairly important. The first is that the variance isn't contrary to the public interest. There isn't going to be any harm here to public safety, health, or welfare. As Mr. Blaisdell just told you, when they do the construction and follow best construction practices, use silt fences and the like, it'll prevent any impact on the wetland at all. We're not talking about encroaching into the wetland, we're talking about encroaching into the wetland buffer. And so there's not going to be any disturbance of the actual wetland here. We're just coming within about 13.5 feet of the edge of that wet soil as opposed to going into it. There isn't going to be any impact on the character of the locality. In fact, the board granted a very similar request a number of years ago to the adjacent property owner over here who, when he built his house, he also encroached into the wetland setback because he faced a similar issue of not having enough buildable space on his lot to build his house without encroaching into the setback, and this board granted a variance to allow him to do that. And that's been in existence for a number of years without any known issues. Second, substantial justice will be done by granting the variance. There's no harm to the general public here, but a substantial benefit to the Podevins. The benefit is expanding the house, as you heard, providing a great room above the garage and providing additional necessary living space for the family. But it also provides a benefit in the sense that, as Mr. Podevin said, allowing the garage to be built puts all of the vehicles and the equipment and all the stuff that they use as a family inside, undercover, out of sight, instead of having a bunch of cars parked in the driveway with storage covers and boat trailers and stuff like that. So I think it'll really, you know, look very nice and be attractive for the neighborhood. And then finally, without the variance, there would be unnecessary hardship. As I was mentioning just a minute ago, the property is very limited in terms of size and also the unique edges of the wetland that protrude towards the property and into the property, creating this setback. In fact, it's really just this one little finger of the wetland you can see that really juts out at this unusual triangle right here on the plan that's causing us the most problem. And it's really a small area of wetland within that triangle. If the edge of the wetland were a little bit more regular and followed the general contour that the rest of the line does, the setback would really be more like 21 feet. But it's just this small area right here that kind of juts out and creates a bit of a problem for the property. And I think what we're proposing here in terms of this garage and this additional living space is very reasonable and very consistent with the neighborhood. If you take a look at a few of the properties around there, particularly, I think number 16, Duckaway Shores, number 18, Duckaway Shores, they each have, you know, multiple car garages with either a 3/4 or a full second story above the garage. You know, having something like this, I think, is still in character with the neighborhood. I think it's a reasonable use of the property. I think it can all be done without impacting the wetlands in any negative way. So with that, I'm happy to field questions among the group that's here tonight, if you guys have any.
So I'm not seeing anywhere on the plans any discussion of low-impact development practices. I don't know if you brought the architect with you tonight
We
to
did.
discuss that. I'm not as concerned with encroachment on the wetlands during the construction phase. To me, it's the operation and lifetime of the house. I mean, when you take, I'm concerned, when you go to the state, the amount of lot coverage that you guys are proposing, the state is probably gonna give you a hard time. You're well over 20%, you're at 18% with the existing house.
We'll need to put in a dry well to catch the runoff, or maybe a little, just little places to catch the water to keep the runoff from going quicker. So that will, depending on how this goes, you could, you know, change my design on where I put it all out, but, you know, that would be the next step, is to get, you know, 100% finished on that part of it.
I mean,
What
to-
they're gonna,
Yeah, to me, I'd like to see that on this piece, like, or some kind of proposal on this. Because as it is, you have such a large amount of impervious surface, you know, that roof, that's all going, you know, off the lot and into the lake and
well,
into the wetlands.
it will be allowed, it just, more fees, you know, you get, if you do like even a more percentage, and actually an engineer might have to just stamp it or whatever.
Can I ask a question?
Certainly.
So, is this close enough? So, since we didn't get any floor plans for the buildings, can you tell me how many square feet was the original? That might have been mentioned, but how many square feet is the addition, and what's the total square footage of, with this addition? I'm talking about footprint, not second floor.
It's just under 1,600 square
The addition is,
Added to 900?
feet.
How much
But I can go.
How much living space, though? How much living space? It's not 1,600, the garage, yeah.
1,600 is inclusive garage, that's the added footprint of the structure.
Well, it was the footprint that I was asking about.
Right. Because that's your impervious cover.
So that includes both of the additions?
The living space addition with the entryway as well as the garage.
Right. That's what I was asking.
The footprint of the existing house,
It's right around 900.
yeah,
So the whole thing is like 2,500?
that's all.
I mean, I think I was noticing what Mike iterated, that it's taking up a lot of the square footage of the lot, sort of dwarfing the lot.
Well, the more square footage, the more they look at it, the state, and more fees and more protection, a bigger dry well or a rain garden type thing, just to catch that. There are
So-
different ways.
So, I mean,
I have not filled out a shoreline permit yet.
okay,
I haven't spent 3 days doing it yet,
okay.
because what happens tonight will drastically.
So it is in the works, and so,
I've done all
and so
the groundwork,
the state
just-
will be in in consultation with you
Yeah.
on the final
Yeah.
design of that.
And I have a 100% success rate with them, so.
All right,
So-
I mean, as long as we're, that was my concern, that it was being addressed.
Yep, well, it has to go through the building inspector too for the septic and all that, but then the state will have, you know, septic and also the shoreline, and they'll look at it very closely. No trees need to be cut, within 50 feet of the lake.
Have you thought about where you might put it yet?
You can put it just about anywhere, you need gutters on the house.
Right.
So, well, basically, it's a 4-foot, you know, diameter under the ground. It's just, it could go anywhere. It's a very minor thing. It's just like a pipe and stone septic. It,
Mm-hmm.
you know, sucks up the water.
Yep. All right, I guess at
Any
this
other-
point, any other questions from the board for
No,
Mr.
you didn't
Blaine?
ask the one I was thinking of.
Okay,
Just to be clear,
yeah,
living area, 900 to 1,600?
Right, the
Or
footprints,
added 1,600,
correct.
yes.
okay.
No, the footprint, not the living space.
It's not necessarily, part of that's garages,
Okay.
but that's what will be,
Okay.
the foundation will be under.
And the total lot area?
It's
17?
17,404.
Got it. And the need for the new septic is for the second bathroom?
No, it's for the extra bedroom.
No, there is no extra bedroom. The need, there is no need, honestly. The thing was built probably in the 60s. There is no septic plan on file here at the town. We have checked that, and we just decided if we're gonna go through this much work and have excavators out there, we'd like to upgrade it to current standards, rather than leave an old potentially failing system. We don't know what's under there. So that's really the only reason.
So
Okay.
didn't I see in the
Don't mind
literature
me-
somewhere that you're going from 2 to
Right.
3 bedrooms? No, it's already 3 bedrooms?
2 bedrooms
It's
stay.
going
2
from-
bedrooms to 2 bedrooms?
That to be year-round.
It's a 2-bedroom house. They're adding mudroom, family space, washroom space, and a great room above the garage.
That's right.
And so what is the square footage of the living space?
The additional upstairs, do you
Oh,
know? Above the garage.
Relative to the
Be
footprint,
be about the same, wouldn't it?
it would be a little less than that because
The knee walls.
only the main portion of the garage,
Only the main portion of the garage here has living space, or roughly that 28 by 20.
Okay, so not that,
This has no living
So it's
space.
another 900 square feet, give or take.
I didn't calculate.
Just a little less, actually, yeah.
Right.
So my note was similar to yours, and that is, you know, drainage. Is the little wetland that's 14 feet above the Tegway Lake the right place to push water? And you already addressed that as essentially a missing item to this particular plan. Okay. I would ask what's the impact of getting that added to this plan? And when should it be done?
Well, it
So
sounds
you want to add it to dry well? Or-
I mean, it sounds like.
I can add it right now, it can go anywhere, except in the wetland.
Right.
Or in the house. It's very minor thing.
Yeah.
But one will be added to address that and going through the state process.
Yeah, going through the same process, if I don't show it, the red lights will go off, so they, you know, you do a certain amount of, impervious, that's a requirement, and, there'll be lots of detail, I mean, they're gonna get a nice thick, folder on this, state.
So Mr. Blaisdell hasn't completed that application to the state yet, pending the outcome of tonight's meeting.
But I think what he's saying is the
So what
state
is
is
the catch?
pretty particular.
Oh, yeah, we always have that catch, 22. You know, we're approving something that should be
Subject to.
approved in the future. Right?
Right.
So,
And we can always attach that our approval is contingent upon state approval. If they don't win state
I
approval,
think we should.
Well,
it's a kind of a
they're
given.
not gonna build if they don't get state approval.
Right.
So, do you know what this distance is
From where?
from the septic? Is this the tank?
The tank is here.
Here, okay, got it.
That's the next part of
That's
it.
the
We're
leach field.
gonna learn more about that.
Oh, that's in the next
And-
section,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm happy to address that when you like. I didn't know if you wanted to
No, no, it's okay.
deliberate and vote on this before we move to that, or if you want me
I
to
think-
do that, but whatever you want.
No, I'd rather keep the two pieces separate on it.
Okay.
We've kept our conversation to the variance, and
Sure.
I think it should stay that way.
Sorry I encroached.
That's all right. Stay out of the wetland. And the septic tank.
I'll
All
give you a
right.
variance, it's okay.
Any other questions from the board concerning the variance piece? All right, I guess we can hear from abutters. Yes, sir.
Yeah, my name is Joe Mokus. I'm the
You need to come to the table, please, and then, thank you.
My name is Joe Mokus, I'm next door neighbor, and I was granted a variance for this exact same thing about 14 years ago. And I just wanted to go on record as saying I have no issue with what they want to do.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. You do understand that any decisions of the board, though, don't set precedent? But thank you for pointing that out.
I'm just pointing that out.
Hi, Stephen Musial, I'm the butter at 8 Tuckaway Shores. Again, we have no issues. They're a decent neighbor. They take good care of their property. Their stuff's always nice and neat and no issues, so. Pretty much it.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
Now, is there the plan is kind of deficit of what's across the road from the lot? Is there other abutters?
Across the street,
Yeah, across Tuckaway Shores.
it's fairly wooded on this side.
Okay.
There are some houses that are up the hill a little ways that access from the other side, but the road comes down and dead ends right here, and it's this driveway here, there's a driveway right here, but nothing on that side of it.
Okay. I kind of thought that, but
Yeah.
thanks. Anything else from the board members? Anybody else in opposition? I don't think so tonight. You brought only friendly faces. I would also like to point out that our building inspector slash code enforcement officer left us a memo this evening, if you guys have all had a chance to read that.
Yes.
Okay.
you place the septic in a specific place. Just above it in green, it says approximately location of septic system, are you doing existing septic system? Is there any way to, or did you consider moving that to help the ordinance as far as setback and things like that? You placed it that for a reason, I was just curious.
There's a
It's
little
there,
side.
but the old
There's
one
the
is
property.
here,
Yep.
and you might not have wanted to put it there because,
Today's rules are different than, well, that was made without rules, so. Septic has to be at least 10 feet off the building. There's a little hillside right here. I'm blending it right into the hill rather than putting a mound right in front of the front door. And being closer to the lake, and that's the most practical place to put it. And I got a good test pit there. Good land there. basically trying to meet state rules.
Says it can be driven on. Is it planned to be
If you,
partially under the
well, if
driveway,
you put an
or?
extra foot of dirt on it, you can drive on a
Mhm.
bit. And, if you have a strong septic tank, thicker H20, you can drive on that too. It's in the existing driveway, right now, they have a side loading garage, so they may or may not drive on that, I don't know. You think you might?
We designed it that there's access down if you have to get in the backyard, and I don't, you can't really see from here, but, there's a driveway, but kinda down this side of the house, so if you have to get a trailer back there to pull anything out of there or anything, there's a slight, like maybe one car wide. So the thought was, if we need to get back there or get anything in there, in or out of there, we can do that still. So we wanted to design it so that it could be driven on, but not that it would be driven on, frequently, certainly.
Yeah, and I didn't want to put a mound right in front of this.
Mm-hmm. No, I was just curious if it was in front of the three cars, per se.
No,
or-
a
or-
little bit of-
Or touching it, but you're gonna use it, twice a year, so.
Yeah. State says septic can be 10 feet from property line. And you can always ask for a waiver for that too, in special circumstances, so. I've been designing for 35 years, and I think that's the best, that suits the land.
Any other discussion from the board on the variance part of this application?
Yes, since they have mentioned, or since I asked them in Warren that they're not adding a bedroom, they're therefore not required, well, maybe they are required to upgrade the septic if you put an addition of any kind?
If you do an addition, you need a septic plan on file. So you can, they don't have to build a septic, but we have to make a plan for a septic.
Right, so I would like to make that a requirement if we,
Requirement that they actually install the septic.
that they actually install, right, a state-approved septic for this huge expansion.
That's the plan.
Yep, that's what they're
Why we
planning.
hired Roscoe, so I agree 100%, and I said that was our reasoning for doing it, is we wanted to upgrade the system from what's there.
You want to dig it up once.
Because I know that if you added a bedroom, you would be made to by the state.
Yes, that's true.
That's why I asked the bedroom question. And I was just saying that for the board, because we're doing them separately, but in a way they're kind of connected, at least in my mind.
I understand. Anything else?
So just to clarify that, the setback from this wetland, little finger, should be 50 feet? Is that according to state ordinances or it's our own?
It's your own.
Our own
The
zoning?
state says you can be at the wetland.
0 feet.
Oh, they do?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's interesting to know.
I think the state's biggest concern is, as we've talked earlier, the amount of non-porous material that you have, and not so much how close you are to anything,
Right, it's the
It's
runoff
the
from
ground
the
you
roof
cover.
that's more of an issue than anything.
right?
But, with gutters, you can collect all of it and put it in a place that won't get to the lake.
I mean, it's gonna
Slowly.
eventually get there.
If
Directly.
you leave some
The
open
trick is
land to
getting
put
it
it
to
in.
the slope.
Well, it would have
Exactly.
got there anyways, but it slows it down,
Right, that's the issue.
cleans it.
Filters it.
Which is part of the detailed state review process, is they're gonna look at that and make sure that there's not a negative consequence on the runoff going into the lake, the wetlands.
mean, my only concerns are that the low-impact development or the roof runoff piece is maintained, and that the shoreland permitting is done.
If it doesn't, the state will just say no.
Right.
They'll just make us do more,
Mm-hmm.
or dry wells or whatever. There are ways to handle it. It's not,
Yeah.
rocket science or whatever.
Nope.
And if the board wants to condition the approval on the installation specifically of a dry well or rain gutters on the building, then I don't think that would be an issue. I think that's what the intent is in terms of going forward and making the application into the state, if that gives you any more comfort.
Certainly does for me. I mean, as long as you guys are doing that, I'm not too concerned as long. I just hadn't seen it on the plans that it was discussed, so that was my concern, but it sounds like you're on top of it, and that the state.
If I don't do a dry well or rain garden, this will not be approved by the state.
Right.
I guarantee that.
Me too. So I'm not
gonna
worried.
waste my time with it, and it's just, I just draw the circle. I mean, it's simple.
Right.
And they're not expensive.
Nope, as long as it's addressed, my concerns are done.
The biggest piece, though, that I have to say back to you on that is, as foolish as it seems to you to put that circle on, it makes it more comfortable for us to see what we're expecting to see. So you might in the future want to consider putting that foolish circle on to appease us.
Or any other.
Just so we
Initially.
don't know that it's proposed.
Initially, just so
Yeah.
you could say, this is
Well-
where I have it, it may not be where it ends up, but I know that you guys are looking for that, so it's on there.
Yeah, see, you've got all these different pitches of roof. I have to make it work with the gutters.
Understand.
So I may
what you're
have
saying.
2 dry wells.
I would think from
I
that
would
roof line that you're
hope
gonna end
you
up with two.
would.
Yeah, so we just gotta do something that works.
And the direction in which the water flows from there. Yep,
Well, it's
downhill,
downhill. It's all going underground.
through the dirt, right, downhill through the dirt, yep.
Yeah. And just, filtered as it goes through.
What's up front, near the water?
That's so well.
Mhm. All right, anything else from the board? Anybody wanna make a motion?
Did you close the public hearing on this part?
No, I did not. I was gonna leave the public hearing open and then do the
Second
special exception.
hearing? Okay,
But I did wanna do the vote on this piece.
Right.
And move on to the next one.
okay. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the application from Mr. and Mrs. Podman for the variance to Article 3, Section B2 of the zoning ordinance to permit the addition of a garage slash great room. Then with the,
Subject to.
yes, with the condition that there is the NHDES shoreline permitting notation taken care of, and that there be dry wells, 1 or 2 as needed, and gutters.
And state-approved septic system.
That's
That's
coming up
separate.
next.
Separate.
No, but I think it should be part of this, because they don't have to put in a septic system. That's why I brought it up before.
Oh, okay, you wanna attach
So
it to the
if I
variance
want to
piece?
attach it to this variance, so that if they don't
Okay,
do it, the variance is, no,
and a state-approved septic system.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is installed.
Is installed or approved on the?
installed, but they'll never approve that one, because it's, they don't have any plans for it.
Installed. Want the, and then I'll put it on.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a new one. This
Did I
is-
capture everything, Joanna?
Yes.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
No less than 10.7 feet from the property line.
We're
That's
gonna
the
get-
request.
We're gonna get that in a special exception. We're just hearing the variance piece right now, and voting on the variance piece for the proposed expansion.
Understood,
We
understood.
still have more
And the
to go.
septic muddies it, but it's just making
Understood.
that a contingency of this
Hmm?
variance.
Do I have a second on that?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
That was 5 ayes, I think, right?
Oh, aye, like, my hand.
Yep, me too. I'm quiet,
Thank you.
most nights. just so you guys are aware, I mean, I'll repeat it again, but there's a 30-day appeal window. So don't start building yet.
You won't be through the
See a lot of
state 30
concerned
days.
neighbors, but you
Right.
never know.
Right. All right, so now, on to the special exception for the septic.
Sure, sorry about the confusion and the difficulty in trying to keep those things separate. I realize they're related, because that's part of the plan here, but we've already talked, to a large extent about what's proposed, and I think you guys have seen it on your plan. But the existing system is thought to be in this area right here. There's no plan.
It's got to be,
That we have to know exactly where it is, but it's thought to be kind of in the driveway area in front of the house right now. There's a note on the plan that shows it. And the new system is largely in the same area. It's outside of the side lot line setback. It's as far away from the lake as it possibly can be. It's as far away from the wetland as it possibly can be. It's really the best location on this property to have a new system. And as we were saying earlier, the new system is not a new system because it's mandated because we're expanding the size of the house. We're not. It's just that going out there and doing the work and having a system from the 1960s, the thought was it made sense to upgrade this, make sure it's up to date, treating all the wastewater as best that it can, and ensuring there's no risk of pollution or contamination that comes from it. So the system that would go in would still be a 2-bedroom design system, but built to today's code, so it's probably a little bit bigger in size than the old system to better treat the sewage and the wastewater flowing into it. And there's not really any place on the site that the system could go that would be a better location than where we're showing it right now. In terms of the special exception criteria, again, I went through that in great detail in my application. I'm not gonna repeat it all. I just wanna highlight a couple of points. First, the goals, the statutory goals are met by granting the special exception, specifically in that the new system will promote public health and safety, provide for adequate sewage disposal. It'll be an improvement over the old system, for sure. Second, the configuration of the property makes the special exception appropriate. We're encroaching a little bit into the front yard setback here, 10.7 feet. But in terms of the places the system can go on the property, as I said, and as looking at the plan, there's not really a better place to put it. And encroaching into that front yard setback, it's not even like we're encroaching towards, you know, a neighbor to the side. We're maintaining that setback on the side lot line. It's just in the front towards the road. And so it doesn't have that type of impact on neighbors that you could if you were encroaching towards a side lot line. And then lastly, there won't be any impact on either the neighbors or the rural character of the area. The system, again, it's a septic system. It's gonna be underground. It's not gonna be visible. It's not gonna be a mounded system. And once it's built, you know, nobody's gonna know it's there. So in terms of the rural character, there just won't be any impact on that. So that's it for the special exception criteria. I'm happy to, again, field any questions that the board may have on that application.
Yes.
so, can you tell me how wide the road is, Tuckaway Shores? I mean, that's a little bit of a barrier between this lot and the people across the street, but it still
Well, the
will
road
impact
right
the
of
well
way
radius.
is about 20 feet. The travel way is around 10 feet or so.
That's only one lane, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah, but there's no, it's a dead-end road.
It looks more
There's
like a
no
driveway than a road
drive-through.
if you haven't been down there.
It's really a private road, it's not even town, our part isn't even town maintained. They
Most
stop,
of those roads are private.
right, but it's town maintained right to the property abutter above us, and they stop right there, and they don't even come down the extra 50 feet down our little piece of the road, so it is only like one car. It's really a driveway, it's not really a road, but that's the address they gave us.
Right, so I guess my question was geared to understanding how it might impact somebody across the street from
Oh,
drilling a well.
yeah, not, it wouldn't, in the sense that not only do
Even
we
in the
have
future.
Well, there's the 10.7 foot setback that we're providing right now, and then coupled, as you say, even if the right of way is only 20 feet, then you've got 30.7 feet right there, which is wider than the 20-foot setback that would be required otherwise. So even if someone built right on the other side of Tuckaway Shores, it's still a wider setback than what would be required?
I think we require ours with 50-foot setbacks to them. Normally,
No, from-
normal building envelope.
Not on a substandard lot, 20 feet.
But if somebody puts a well over here, it still has to be 75 feet from this. State doesn't have
Correct.
substandard lot.
Right.
So I guess that was the question that I had. How would this impact if somebody wants to build a house over here? It's only,
There already
this
is
is a 20-foot right away.
there already is a house over there, it's just on the far end of the property. It's access from a road up on the other side, it's not access from the Tuckaway Shores Road.
Over here, kind of.
And is it like a small lot that could never be subdivided?
Oh, I don't,
Across
I
the
don't
You
know that
need
off the top.
4 acres, to I don't think it's a 4-acre lot.
The abutters that
Why would
own,
you need 4 acres?
To subdivide.
Oh, to subdivide.
Yeah, you need
Right,
a
two.
lot to be 2 acres.
Right.
And these are all small lots.
Even across the street?
It's larger, but it wouldn't be subdividable. I don't think, there's already an existing house on this lot. There's no way they have 4 acres where another lot could fit in here.
It would have been done already.
Right.
They would have made 5 lots out of that.
This is all wooded. Any other questions on the board? Or motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the special exception on Article 2, Section C2 of the zoning ordinance to permit a new septic system be located within the 10-foot property line on the case 16009 dash, SE on Mr. and Mrs. Potvin, with the consideration that there be state approval for the septic.
Second? I'll second that then. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm gonna abstain.
1 abstention. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you
There
very
you
much.
guys
very
go.
much for your time.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Appreciate it.
at this point, I'd like to close the public hearing on case 16009 VASC. You guys want to do meeting minutes
Sure.
from June, August, and September? Thank you, Roscoe.
You're welcome.
Do you want this big plan back?
You don't want it, I'll keep it.
Joanna, do we need a larger plan for the file?
Oh, you
Is it all right if we keep one?
Keep it.
All right. Thank you, sir. I'll let her
I
full.
didn't have enough information about the lot across the street
Okay.
on their plans. So I have to get into abstaining ones.
Yes. Obviously.
All right. Any discussion on our meeting minutes from June 21st? Did you have any on June 21st?
Yes, are we taking June 21st?
Yes, we're gonna do June 21st.
So you have the one with the numbers.
September,
If I,
Yep.
if I find the
August,
numbers,
here
I
it
just
is.
have 2 little points.
They're in your,
Oh, I
They're in
have
your
Mike's
book
right
as well.
handy.
Mr. Chairman, can I
Yes,
take a
sir.
bio?
He gave me these earlier, so.
yeah, sir.
I'll be right back.
Yep.
Are we on break for a second?
Sheet is in your binder, as well as the decision sheets that you had requested to review.
Yep, thank you. Is it next week we have the joint meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
next Wednesday.
Do you think you can make that, if you'd like?
Wednesday?
Yeah, next Wednesday.
Is that with the planning board?
It's
Yes.
with the planning board, yeah.
Is it 7 o'clock?
Yes,
Yeah,
Right here?
in this room,
Okay.
same place,
Yeah.
different night.
same
I can
time.
listen.
Yeah. We've
Try
been,
and take some of it in.
yeah, we've been trying to meet, and this is kind of a big one because, we had a change to the zoning ordinance. Was it just last year or is it 2 years ago? To the subdivision regs?
2 years ago.
And we made an error, perhaps. We're trying to correct it
Oh,
next week, so we'll see.
okay.
We'd had, historically, we'd had about 80% of our cases were about people wanting to put sheds and garages closer to their side lot lines. And in taking a look at surrounding communities, we were way more restrictive. And so we said, let's move that back. And it also created a situation where if you owned a lot, a regular lot of 2+ acres, you would have to come in and apply via special exception. And if I had a substandard lot, I could come in and just ask for the permit from the building inspector and be granted automatically. So to me, it was a fairness issue as well. But then we got hijacked at the planning board level, and they specifically included septic. And so then all of a sudden, builders, developers were looking to have the building lot envelopes go out to 20 feet from the lot line. And that wasn't really our intent.
Can I have a copy?
Yeah, certainly. So that's one of the issues under contention. And then in your notebook, there's another, on the second page with the highlight yellow, is some of the items up for discussion for next week. If you want homework, you could probably take that with you. Not the notebook, she's very possessive of the notebooks. But you could take the paperwork in.
Yes, I like reading. That's the only way she can fill them for reading.
All right.
Okay.
So any,
I had a couple of comments or,
on the June 21st?
yeah, little things that I think need clarification. They're very minor. One is, line 73, which states, the ZBA has never had a septic issue. And I thought it should say more like, ZBA has never had a septic issue come before it in anyone's memory. Otherwise, it's not clear that this is not an issue that we typically see. Maybe even Kevin, who's probably been here longer than anybody. Has he been here longer than you, Mike?
Yes.
We've just never had a septic issue come before the board, just add
Have you?
those few words.
Do you remember in your tenure?
Like
Because
a
you were
setback.
kind of waiting as I was coming in.
There must have been one or two at the lake, but I don't remember any.
Not even very few and far between, even there.
It's mostly for sheds and barns and,
I mean, I might remember one, but it's always been a shed, or
garage,
a garage, or,
deck.
or a corner of a building, or, you know,
Or deck, yeah.
yeah. You know, there have been the major ones, which was, you know, the water up on Route 4 and all them, but I'll say the little ones where they affect a family, a person who wants to do something with their property, has been those little corner specs, you call them, you know?
So if you could just add that, Joanna, and then on line 103, I was a little confused about what the whole sentence means, and I'll tell you what I think it means, and maybe just by changing one word. The board members agree that it is confusing, now we're talking about the disparity in the ordinance between the change. The board members agree that it is confusing that they've allowed the past cases to be subdivided and built with the 20-foot setbacks, and then disallowed this case.
Oh,
And I think that should say the planning board, just to distinguish it from
Instead
us,
of-
because
instead
we
of
aren't the
they've.
ones. Instead of they've, yeah, I circled they've here.
I think you are,
Board members agree that it is confusing that the planning board allowed the past cases to be subdivided and built with the 20-foot setbacks, and then disallowed this case.
yeah, that's more
Because
specific,
yeah.
and I think that was the
Because
intent.
the way I read it, I'm like, well, which board is this referring to?
Yes,
That just clarifies it.
so
That's
the
it.
they should be
The planning board.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay, that's it.
I make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes of June 21st as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
One abstain. August
23rd.
23rd.
Yeah, this was okay.
Can I insert something here that doesn't have anything to do with these minutes? Is it possible for the board members to receive the decision letters that go out to the applicants?
Yes, I can definitely email them to you. They are also on the website, though.
They are.
Yes. That
Just
was
learned
my
that.
website. Every person's on there.
The new website does look nicer than the old one.
I know it does, but I don't know where anything is on it. It's because it's new.
But yeah, where are the decision letters? Are the
Thank
decision
you.
letters right with the
At the
ZBA?
case.
It's titled Notice of Decision. There's
At the end of each case?
Under ZBA or under
under yeah,
each board?
on each board.
Okay.
So
Excellent.
the letters are right there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But if you want, I can email them to you. But
I just thought it would be nice if we saw them, just because, to make sure they reflect what we think we did.
yeah, I actually take from my notice of decision and put it right into the minutes, or vice versa, depending on how I've written things. If it's handwritten, I don't do that. But tonight's is gonna be taken right from the minutes and put into my notice of decision. So they do drive completely,
Okay.
but yes.
How often, how soon after after a meeting are they on the website?
The notice of decisions?
Yeah.
Right after I'm done typing them up and put them in the mail.
So usually like within a week?
Oh, no, they have to be out the next day.
Oh,
Yes,
The next day.
so you have to work on Wednesdays?
yes. Yeah, if we have a
After
meeting on
hearings.
Tuesday, I have to work Wednesday morning to.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with this.
I need to
August
root
23rd.
around the webpage a little bit more.
It's
That's,
pretty good. It's easier than it
I
used to be.
haven't done it enough, so.
And if you see anything that could be improved, please don't hesitate to let us know, because it's still so new. We've only had it up since March, I think, March or April. So it's very new. There's a lot of, Dawn's still trying to work out a lot of kinks, but even my own pages, I'm still trying to learn and improve as well.
Okay.
So, definitely.
I make a motion that we accept meeting minutes of August 23rd as written.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain. I
Two
was
abstains.
absent.
And September 20th. We're almost caught up.
Did I miss it?
No.
I had sent you a message.
Yes,
I think it was just a spelling of my name.
yes,
Was that this one?
yes, it was. That's why I'm asking
And you
guys.
already corrected it? And it was just one T instead of two T, that's all.
Right.
But the verbiage was okay by me.
Yeah, it was just a spelling error. and I
Okay,
did-
okay.
Yeah,
Except that, the applicant Cosma Stimulus, I noticed on the application that we actually saw his name was spelled Casma, and it's Casma at least once in the body of the minutes, if you could just, where did I see it? Line 75. It's okay in the beginning. I'm pretty sure it's K-O-S, like at the top, Cosma and Joanne.
Oh, it's misspelled in
It's
line
misspelled,
11.
yeah, it was misspelled on the application too, so just a typo that got carried over, I think. It should be Cosma.
I'm gonna double check the application in case I typed it up wrong in.
I think the application is typed up wrong, but I think if you look at the way he writes his name, it's KOS, or if you look in the town records,
Okay,
his tax map, or tax sum records. I'm pretty sure it's KOS.
okay,
He worked on the election crew with me, so
okay,
I've seen his name written a few times, and I'm pretty sure it's Cosmo.
okay, I've got that noted and I will check it.
And I don't know if it's down here in any other lines.
Yeah, I'll
You
do
can
a
probably
word
go through that with
search.
your spell check or whatever.
Yeah, with word search, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a couple places. All right, I make a motion, we accept meeting minutes of September 20th as amended.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
abstain.
Thank you. All right, we're caught up on meeting minutes finally. Just,
Like these. There you go.
no, you can have them. Or you can use them as fire starters.
What's the date of the planning board meeting?
Next Wednesday.
Next,
The 12th?
Yeah, the 12th.
which would be the 5th plus 7, okay. Got it. Well, I have to embed it,
All right,
well, I'd like to attend, so,
excellent.
It's more than 7 and 5, oh, it's tomorrow.
7 o'clock?
I was just questioning your math, but now I see,
Yeah.
since today is the 4th.
Yep, so if we're allowed to take we have 2 pages of homework, if you want to take a look at those, and take
yeah.
those with you. If you'd like, Kevin, if you can't make the meeting and you want to make comments, you can either email Joanna or myself or both, and then we
You
can,
mean next Wednesday?
next
I
Wednesday.
would like to attend, so
All
I'll
right.
plan to.
Okay.
I didn't get
So the-
colored highlighted.
No, that's
Mike
what,
did.
The 2 homework assignments are,
Well, they're dark.
the memo
Like there's a shadow around them.
Yep,
and
CO changes for 2017 and requirement limitations, ADUs, next page.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
an
happened.
ADU is additional
Accessory
dwelling,
dwelling unit.
accessory dwelling.
Or, yeah, it's accessory, I think.
See how
Okay.
it's all
Yeah, accessory dwelling.
shattered?
So the state has had a big language change
Mhm.
in intent, basically in response to our aging population.
Well, you don't need
So,
minutes.
A lot of our stuff is out of
Like 4
line.
pages.
That's really what it comes down to.
We can take this home.
Change it or be steamrolled.
Unless we want to go on the warpath, right,
Right.
yeah.
But this
Good luck
is
with that.
Leave it up to the zoning board.
Right. Okay, do you guys want to tackle the decision sheets tonight? Because I think we brought them up for discussion last time.
Right. And we didn't use them tonight.
We did not, because we had not reapproved them.
correct.
That's true.
So for this, goes with this.
So this is generic, and so I like that you added the definition page to leave in there, you know, criteria for variance and criteria for special exceptions, so we can refer to those. And so this, basically, this finding of fact page is useful for either one.
So my thought was that I'll put the explanation of the criteria in the objective sheet and keep them in your binders always,
Nice.
if you approve.
Yeah.
And then, I could even do the same thing with the criteria sheets themselves and put those, a whole bunch of them in your binders, that way they're always there.
Nice.
Do you guys approve of that idea?
Criteria sheets, you mean like the ones the applicant filled out, not this?
No, this criteria sheet.
Not
This.
No, that.
Oh, okay.
This-
So the fact finding sheet or the finding fact sheet,
This is the criteria sheet,
right, that's the
which
same.
spells out the explanation of variance and special exception.
And then I'll run off a whole bunch of the ones that you fill out and keep those in your binders as well, so that at every meeting you have them available if you choose to use them or not.
Okay,
Does that sound good?
Are they doing that at the planning board?
no,
No,
But they don't have cases the way we do.
no, that's correct.
that's true.
Well,
I mean,
my
their
thought
cases
here
have a different nature.
Yep.
is, under summary of findings, could you put 1 through 5A and B, and 1, 2, and 3, just as lines?
Right.
If we gotta go to the back, we'll go to the back. but it's just yes, no,
So it's-
or this was important, and all it does is, it focuses us on the 5 initial criteria here and the 3 criterias here, to answer them without,
You know,
I think Kevin is remembering what I remember, that in our old finding of facts sheets, there was like a word or two that, like granting the first one, public interest, you know, or whatever the issue is. Substantial justice.
yeah.
So that,
And so you could put a little, so you could read it and put a little blurb down it,
Right.
because as you're hearing, you're writing,
right,
and that's hard,
right.
right? I like to absorb and then write, you know, and as much writing as I do, but it's, to have an open page here, to put this information down on,
Yeah, just,
would help us. Essentially,
agree.
you put this here,
and have a separate one.
and with a line underneath it for us to answer on.
1, 2,
yeah,
3, 4,
if
5.
it went
A,
one,
B.
contrary to public interest, yes, no,
Yeah,
and then
it's just,
spirit of the
yeah.
ordinance.
And then we need a little space to make
substantial
notes,
justice,
Yeah, and then,
why we think it's yes or no.
Okay.
right,
And
yeah, you
Just
could
a
put,
quick-
you
property
could a
value.
few verbs and nouns
ownership.
down to substantiate that, and that means we're thinking about our answer.
Right.
Right.
That's all it does.
Yeah.
All right,
Demonstrates that
I'll type up
we
that
have
condition
deliberated.
and then you
The
guys
question.
critique
Yes.
it.
Next time, if we ever meet again.
And then a different one for the special exception, because the criteria are different.
Okay.
So that would be just 3, if that's,
It's probably
because those are
doable, right?
also finding of facts.
Yeah,
Take a shot at it, email it to us,
Yeah.
I'll
You
be
can
glad.
send me your comments prior to our meeting.
Yeah.
And I
Have it
can
ready.
come up with those changes. If you reply all, then everybody will see those changes and you can comment back and we can just dictate that way. That way we can make better use of our time
do you
together.
guys have cloud storage in town, like Dropbox or Google Drive or any of that stuff?
I personally use Google Drive, but not everybody else uses Google.
I don't.
I do,
Yeah.
I can.
because I can't open docs.
Sorry.
Well, just the.
But they're in
beauty-
Google, I
just the
can
beauty
send
of
them,
it
but
is
I
that,
can't
like,
receive them, I think.
So if, what
If
happens
that makes
is,
any sense.
it used
The
to be
mystery
like
of
if she
computers.
typed a document, it sat on her computer only.
Yeah,
So when you do the cloud storage thing, it goes up into the cloud,
yeah,
right? And so that really resides on Google's server. But she's invited us, so we can all see the document. We can also set it up so that you could write in it. So if I make a change to the document, it automatically saves, and now you see it, she sees it, everybody sees it, so it
You
makes
get a little
the
tickle that
documents
somebody's changed it.
live, instead of, oh, I sent you version A yesterday with these changes, and oh, I'm looking at version 3 from last week, and all that confusion goes away.
now I understand.
Do you really?
We do this with G-Source with software at work, so it's,
Yeah,
you load it in and then everyone has this visibility, but
yeah.
no, I have not morphed that to my home email yet, and I apologize.
Do you
No,
have
it's all right.
Google?
I'm lucky if I look at my email once a week and she'll contest, so.
Now my phone, I have a smartphone finally, and my phone buzzes when stuff goes in, and I don't know if someone's calling me, texting me, I got an email, I don't know. My pants vibrate a lot, though. I'm like,
see you go,
I'm teaching a class, I'm like, oh, pants are vibrating.
Again,
Oh, I do. I teach high schoolers. It's not like it's first graders. They laugh.
Oh, yeah,
They're used to me learning my phone.
They beat the crap out of you, don't they?
No, they don't. Because I'm the guy with the radio who does discipline.
Oh, okay.
They're nice to me.
No, I meant
No, I have nice kids.
electronically, they beat the crap out of you.
Maybe. I don't know. I every once in a while, I notice they're videotaping something I'm doing. And I'll go down the calf, and they're like,
Mom,
"Are
is
we
this
really doing
right?
that later?"
Is this right? Oh, that's bad.
I remind them that it's illegal in the state of New Hampshire to film or record somebody without their permission. All right, so thank you for those changes, and
except
just
in a
made some
public meeting.
what?
If you come to a public meeting, anyone may record you and video you. But I mean, if we didn't have a TV,
Oh,
people could come in here with their little cell phone to any
that's
public
true,
meeting,
that's true. It is subject to the
including
right
the
to know.
town meeting,
Mhm.
including the election polls.
Well, that's because they're public anyway.
Right, they're
But it
public
wouldn't
meetings.
make any sense to have permission.
Exactly.
The only thing you can't do is record a minor, I think, without parents' permission.
Hmm.
I don't think the
When
right to
do
know
we-
law addresses that.
When do we discuss ADUs? Is that in?
That's gonna be next
Next week
Wednesday.
at the planning board, yes.
Unless you have a question now that I can help you with.
Hmm,
No, all right.
Pretty much the
I'll defer.
ADUs is, a state law change, so the only thing that's going to be discussed really at our planning board meeting, the joint meeting, is possibly making them allowed to be disconnected. They don't have to have any connection at all. That's the discussion that's gonna be had then. Otherwise, the changes that you see on that paper are law. So,
Already.
Already.
yeah, we're just making it so that we are conforming to that law.
When you say disconnected, you mean physically?
Correct.
Correct, yeah,
Okay.
that they don't have to have a fence or an arbor or anything like that.
Or a string between them,
What's that?
or a string between them.
Or a string between them.
Connecting them.
Telephone cords, whatever. Yeah, so that's gonna be the discussion of, regarding the ADUs, otherwise what you see is the change that's being made and it has to go before the voters anyway.
Mhm.
So can I ask though, in
So that-
terms of our participation at the meeting and interacting with the planning board, can we like bring up issues that we see, we wish they would address?
Absolutely,
Yes,
that's what
that's
the
the
point
plan.
is,
Please do.
yes. It's the only way that we can work together as a town, really, as volunteers.
Yeah, for many years, there was no communication between the boards at all.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, there was animosity even back in the
How
day.
does that work well?
It
It
did.
doesn't.
We don't have that anymore.
We just started having these joint meetings though. I think you started it.
I think so.
It's a good thing.
A while ago, though.
It's gonna be
So the
a big one,
discussion-
'cause we'll also have the conservation commission there, so it's
Oh, it's gonna be a full
Oh,
house.
a
fabulous.
lot of communication to be had.
They should have good inputs too.
Hmm.
So the discussion of separate buildings is needed because it's not clearly identified from the state?
There's a new law that allows accessory dwelling units, and they've taken away the need for them to be in-law apartments or,
Mhm.
certain minuscule sizes,
But the discussion is needed because,
because we don't have it addressed in our zoning ordinance, although the state allows it.
yeah,
Our
do we
zoning
have
ordinance-
any of this new ADU in our zoning ordinance?
No,
We
that
don't.
right there is not in there yet.
Right, so it's more than just that.
Right.
It
We're
would
not
be-
just discussing one
Would we
thing.
be removing our in-law apartment pieces? Or not necessarily?
I think it would include them in the sense that whatever they are is okay, but I think it's less restrictive, perhaps, so,
What we would be changing is the fact that we say there cannot be two dwellings on one property.
Okay.
Now, if we allow it to be separate, then there can be two dwellings on one property. That's what would be changed. Because currently our zoning ordinance says we can't.
you could rent out the treehouse.
Okay,
Think
but is there,
income.
but that's the only issue relative to the new, I assume this section 2 is out of this book, right?
Well, it's not in that book because it's a brand-new law, I think.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah,
Well,
Well, you can look it
know
up
what I mean.
online.
When the next time I see this
Did you
it's
know?
gonna be in there.
printed, it'll be in the book, okay. So, but that's the only issue with our ordinance?
With,
Is that one
with
thing?
that one,
I mean, otherwise, we already complied to all of this?
to that one, to the
Okay.
ADU one, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. There's not been any other state change that we need to, comply to, but there are other changes that, all the boards are gonna be considering.
Other changes to other things, you
The
know?
other ordinances.
Yeah.
that the boards
And-
will-
So that's not the only ordinance.
And
under-
what are those?
The big one is the one that we brought up with the
Setbacks.
setbacks.
Okay.
Right.
And then there's a
Have those
proposed
been,
lighting ordinance as well.
excuse me,
Lightning? Oh, lighting.
Lighting.
have those been itemized? Do we have a list of those things we're gonna talk about?
Yeah, right, that's on this email.
Okay, thank you, you
Yeah.
know, just keep slapping me, I need to. You may already know the answer, just, I'm trying to drive it.
This one,
So these are all of the things.
this
Yes.
one, right? The-
Yes.
Yeah, and if there's anything that I missed in emails, please definitely re-email me, but I thought I took everything from emails and put it in here.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so change accessory is item 1. Revised lot is 2. Review definition is 3. Check wording, 4. Revised articles 5 and 6. Peter White suggests,
Dark skies.
is Peter White thing, is that a 7, or does that apply to up above? Lot envelopes and setbacks, is that, how does that paragraph relate to the above, or is it added?
That's his suggestion for wording, so it applies to the setbacks.
It applies to the envelope setback, okay. Define setbacks and setback line. Lot envelope, which you brought up before, okay.
Don't we already have a
Half a year ago or so,
It's,
we asked what we would ask of the planning board. I think I submitted something, I don't remember. Was that captured? And I don't even remember if I did. I think I wanted to if I didn't, but we
What
were,
was the issue?
it was this issue, hey, we're gonna talk to the planning board, what would you wanna discuss with the planning board?
Oh,
And it may have, I assume it's on this list, but
I started this list quite some time ago, so it very well could be, but I can
Okay.
research the minutes to see if I missed.
well, I don't want you to do extra work, so let me see if I can find if I responded,
Okay,
okay?
sounds good.
And I'll assume that the rest of this is
And if you
response
did
from the rest of,
you can respond, yes?
well, and if it's not here, which I'm sure it's here, if I did, but I'm not sure if I did. I wanna give you the benefit of the doubt, because we did do this about 6 months ago,
Yes.
right? We did ask ourselves,
Yes.
because we knew we were gonna do this, right? I remember it. It must have been during the June activity that I was involved in.
probably was.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
that's ringing a bell with me now.
thank
So,
you.
do we have a lighting ordinance in, I thought we had a lighting
it's,
ordinance.
it's in here, but in our ordinance, but it is not to the extent
Of the dark sky.
Correct. So several, as part of the, help me out with that word.
Dark sky.
No, as part of the, what's that?
Master plan.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
As part of
Sorry?
the, as part of the
I didn't hear.
master plan, it was
Master plan.
asked that we look at that.
Yes.
And then there were some concerns also from members of the Conservation Commission regarding encroachment on their property from neighbors' lights. So they asked Paul to look at that, and he researched to see what was out there for dark sky ordinances, and that's now what we are taking a look at as part of
As a
the,
draft.
and we being planning board, yes.
Never mind the neighbors.
No.
I hear that too much lighting is very bad for the lightning bugs, the fireflies.
I was under the impression that we didn't have streetlights in this town, and all of a sudden a few have popped up places. Like, how do you get one? Like, I don't want one, but, like,
We never had one.
Do you mean on people's
on-
properties?
on light poles on the side of the road.
I haven't seen any, I don't know.
Two on our road.
There's 2 on Garland Road now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm like, how did that get
One
there?
of them shines in my
Something-
window.
Oh, yeah,
Isn't Garland Road is a town road too, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
it is,
So,
paved and maintained.
but
So how'd they get there?
what I'm saying is how would that get through without people in town even because that's adding to the tax bill to pay for that.
Maybe.
Putting the light up, and the
Maybe,
electricity.
maybe the property owner paid for it, the public service or something.
Well, then it wouldn't do it. It would
Item
be on-
14.
Then it would be on the property owner.
Actually, yeah, as an addendum to that,
Right.
streetlights,
No.
question mark.
You
Like,
can't,
is there
I
a
couldn't
permitting
ask to have
process?
a light put out on a town road.
I know, one popped up.
No, well, you know,
2 doors down.
it's a
like
little,
two-
it's a
Never
little
asked,
amusing,
I've
but,
seen a couple of them.
but,
Yeah,
you
like
know,
who,
question.
yeah, whose meters
right,
are on?
we never had one, we don't want one.
Right.
And sidewalks, we never had one, we don't want one, so.
Yes, we do want
And
some
that,
sidewalks.
Oh, yeah, we do.
oh, we do?
Yes.
We have
Yes.
one?
From Liars, no, we want one. From Liars to the library.
Yes.
To the town hall.
Okay,
Yes,
all right.
yes, we do want some
All
sidewalks.
of Route 152, please.
Actually, we have a thing in the master plan for when Route 152 is looked at by the state that we do some widening.
Yes.
So that we can have a
Oh,
bicycle shoulder.
Okay, good.
It's
It is-
very narrow.
It is extremely dangerous coming around this
There are
corner,
kids.
Mm-hmm.
because
Yep,
there's nowhere, especially when you're supposed to walk facing traffic.
right.
If you come around where my house is on that's 121, that brown house that's right there on the corner by the Y, where you can go up 156, you literally have to walk on their property in order to stay out of the way of cars that come, and not at 30 miles an hour either, come zipping around that corner. I can't even walk with my grandkids because there's just no
Oh,
room
it's
to
sketchy
move.
there.
And if you go to the other side, then your back is to traffic, which is dangerous. So I would love to see either the road widened or sidewalk put in or something.
Yeah, that's mentioned in the master plan.
Yes.
Don't forget the turtles.
They need a sidewalk.
Well, by the river.
Turtles need a sidewalk. Is that
And a
what
street
you
light.
said,
Way to
Bonnie?
navigate
Is that what you
the
I think
said?
it's time to adjourn.
Turtles need a
Motion to
sidewalk.
adjourn, Mr. Chairman?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
That's it. Thank you, folks.